Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Grist Pod. I'm your host, Matt Velez. Today, we'll be talking to the junior and track cross-country runner, Cole Stankina, who recorded a 31:29 10K and is on the honor roll more times than I can count. I'm going to go over a bunch of accolades. I have it on the computer here. So his records include the indoor 5K, the cross-country 6K, second in the cross-country 10K and the 8K, second in indoor 3K, third outdoor 5K, and third XC 5K. It doesn't even stop there. Holds a school record for most wins in a single season, two-time all-conference first team, and one-time all-East region third team in cross-country, 60th in the nation for the 10K, and regional lead out of 40 teams. Cole Stankina, how are you today, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, man.
It's been crazy. A lot of running, and it's good to see having a good race last weekend.
You did, yeah.
Hoping to keep it going for the season.
You did, man. And before we even get into it, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
So I major in business communications and marketing here at Chestnut Hill College. I'm a member of the Griffin staff with you. So we're always putting stuff out on the Griffin, quick plug. And I've been running since a freshman in high school, so about 7 years now. I love it to death. Everybody will see me around in my little short shorts, getting ready, getting ready to go on my 10, 12-mile runs. And there's nothing I love more than getting out and getting after it on the course and everything.
I was under the impression that you ran sooner than freshman year of high school, but I guess to go back, how did you get into running? What made you kind of have that passion for it?
So as most runners, I played soccer, lacrosse, baseball, basketball, football. I've played them all. And to say I was good at the sports part of them would be a lie. I was always just the fastest guy on the court, field. I played striker in soccer, so it was always kick the ball down the field and I would outrun somebody. It was never necessarily foot skill or anything. So my school didn't have a middle school soccer team. So during that time, we had a club running team, which is, I guess, kind of how I got into running. It wasn't competitive, though.
Okay.
And then freshman year came around, me and a bunch of my boys, we joined the cross-country team as the cool kids in school do. And just never looked back. All of us, my best friend Trey, he still runs in college, and we're still running to this day, 7 years later, every morning, 5 a.m. in the summers. And that's the MAC mile champion. Shout out Trey. But yeah.
That's love, man. And I know that people don't really necessarily admire running as much. And I wanted to ask you personally, you having so many accolades, how much of a mental game is running? What goes into the aspect of running, and competitively at that too?
There's a saying by Eliud Kipchoge. He says that running is 90% mental, 10% physical.
The marathon runner, right?
Yeah, he has the world record in the marathon. Phenomenal idol, like one of my idols. Looking up, it's 90% mental. The hardest thing to do is to tell yourself you can do it. You're pushing yourself to the brink of passing out almost every day. Every race, it's how much can you get out of yourself. An athlete who can get 110% out of maybe 50% fitness is going to be better than an athlete with 100% fitness who can only get 40% out of it. So that's the key, is strengthening your mind, not just physically. And it's why a lot of runs, you have to figure out, how bad do you want it? It's kind of a question you often ask yourself. How much do you want to win? How much do you want to be the best out there? And there's days where you don't want it, but you still have to get out and run. And it's a drive that you have to kind of carry, like a lot of sports, but more so because there's no subjectivity in our sport. You can say your time's your time. So when you have to constantly compare yourself to everyone else, constantly see potentially a worse time, it's hard. But it's continuing to fight through, get up the next day, keep getting better, because you just have to buy into yourself, buy into your training, buy into the coaching, and that's how you see growth. So.
I definitely agree, and I ran cross country with Cole freshman year, and I definitely think, being at Belmont Plateau, and I went to Five Guys. That goes way back, and being at Belmont Plateau way back, even when I was in high school, I ran that. I definitely think it's probably, if not the most mental sport out there in terms of pushing yourself. And like you said, comparing yourself. I didn't even think about that. You're constantly comparing yourself to other people, and your time is almost your identity, but in a sense you don't want it to be. You know, like you said, your time is your time, and now you find yourself at CHC. And so far, how is the Chestnut Hill College experience been for you? And you can be completely honest.
It's different. I went from my high school had about 4,000 students. Our cross country team was 60 guys, 60 girls. To come here to this very small, tight knitted roster, and personally, like I do love it. Like we eat dinner every night together, same table. The cafeteria lady saves our table for us to make sure nobody sits there.
That's love.
We're always together. We're always doing stuff. We're going to a baseball game mid-April together. Like we're always it's love because we know we're like the black sheep of the school almost. Like we are the awkward, weird sport that like nobody necessarily knows about
Or acknowledges.
yeah, like
Yeah.
we don't have a track on campus, so there's no track meets for people to come out to. Our home course is 30 minutes into the city, so it's really hard for people to get out to. So a lot of people don't necessarily see what we do until they see a write-up, and it does kind of put pressure on us to succeed because if we aren't getting these accolades, if we aren't weekly honor roll runner of the week, like a lot of our runners are, nobody really hears about us. So we have to go out of our way to make sure we are doing the best we can. And I just want to give another shout out to our women's team getting second in the conference.
Absolutely.
Sydney Watts leading them the way. Like they're phenomenal. And I think like that kind of helps us, like that mental side of having another reason to be so like invested in it and wanting to be the best we can be.
Yeah, and I definitely agree in that sense where it's nobody does really acknowledge XC for what it is, and it is so important that especially the women and the men both come together, obtain these accolades, and able to get their face out there. And to continue about Chestnut Hill College, what would you say, you know, with it being a small team, but you all come together, what is your favorite part of CHC, just in general?
Of CHC, I mean, as a runner, I love how close we are to the trails. Wissahickons hop and a skip away. We have the Perk, which is about a 10-minute drive. Same with Pennypack, and you know we have Belmont. We have so many different places to run. Which, as like a nature outdoorsy guy, I'm always hiking, always walking around, running. The Arboretum is also beautiful this time of year. But I think it's like the small knit community is probably the best thing. Like my teachers, whenever they see me after a race, they're always congratulating me for having a good race. And it'll be teachers I haven't even had in class, or teachers I haven't had since my freshman year. Sister Mary Helen Kashuba comes up to me every time and is saying, congratulations, I haven't had a class with her since my freshman year. And it's like to see that she's still keeping up with me and wanting to see me succeed, it's huge. And our AD Jesse giving me a fist bump every time.
Awesome, yep.
You know, it's a great feeling to know that people do know me for me, not just as, you know, a person here, but I'm Cole. You know?
Right, like they know more than just the numbers and who you are. And I do want to get into, and not too personal, but with all these accolades, I have to ask you: have you faced any adversity to get where you are today? And I do. I know I was there, but I'm not gonna. You know what I mean? But I want to ask you.
I think like the first bit of adversity I kind of came through was not necessarily being great at the sport to start. My freshman year, I ran like a 19-minute 5K. So I was like barely on varsity for my team, like kind of scraping by. And then to continue to see growth, eventually I worked my way onto like our scoring team, which is a top 5, top 10's varsity, top 5 is a scoring roster. And that's typically like your state's team.
Okay.
But going into my senior year over COVID, I got into a bit of a scuffle skating accident and I broke my femur. So I wasn't able to run for about 9 months. And that was going into, I didn't start running until May going into my freshman year here. So I had about 3 months of running under me before starting that freshman year. And I just wasn't the same athlete I was before. And that was like a hard thing to accept, you know, having to kind of build up from scratch again. So that freshman year built a lot of adversity. And as you know, and a lot of the guys who are on that team that year know, I DNF'd embarrassingly at conferences on a team where we should have been placing top 3. And I ended up fracturing my foot in that race, but DNFing in front of an entire field, having to see your name at the bottom of the list, it fuels you. I remember like I always tell myself never again. I look back on that DNF on my results list of all my placements and everything, and like that is like something that I always look at, and I'm like, we're not DNFing again. There's never going to be a time where I don't finish a race, and it makes me like I think 10 times of a better athlete than I would have been if I didn't DNF that race, break my leg, and I'm thankful for it in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a, to every negative there's a positive, and it's such a, like, that is such a bounce back to take those 9 months off because you have to, and then fracturing your foot, and then seeing that at, it's your interpretation of, you made it the most of what you could. That interpreting of, names at the bottom of the list, what am I going to do about that? And like running, like, no sport is easy. If everything, nothing worthwhile is easy. And I also wanted to ask you, in terms of running, like, what do you like most about running?
I think I just love how objective it is. Like, there's never going to be a time where if a kid beats me, it's, what can I do to beat that guy? It's not like he's faster than me, but I have better foot skill, for example, going back to soccer. But it's, if I want to be on a varsity line, I have to be the fifth fastest guy. What does it take to be the fifth fastest guy? You have to outwork all those other teammates, all those other guys. If you want to be all conference, that's top 15 out of about 100, 150 runners. You have to outwork 150 guys to get into that top 15. Same thing with the region. So you always know what you have to do to get better. And there's not like necessarily a coach telling you what to do or what they want, but it's, you get better by running. And it's so simple but beautiful to me that, like, no matter what I do to become the best version of myself, it involves me putting in work to be the best version of myself. It's me and the clock, essentially. Mm-hmm. And that's probably my favorite thing about it, among like the just peacefulness of going out for a run by yourself. I mean, you were a runner, so there's nothing better than those solo runs where you get that runner's high and you just keep going.
You just keep going, yeah. You don't follow the pace. You just go how you feel. Mm-hmm. And I think there's such a specialty when running, because it's not, when you look at it from afar, it does seem so simplistic, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It's far from simplistic. And I love that aspect. I love that there's just more to it than just running. And like you said, it's you and the clock. You're punching the clock, beating the clock every chance you get. And for that, there is a specialty to it. And I do want to ask just a couple more questions. And I'm asking you, of all people, what skills would you like to improve on throughout the season?
Oh, there's a lot of things I need to do better. There's so many things I know that can make me like a 10 times better athlete. And it does all start up here. Like before my 10K at Widener, you can ask my girlfriend, I was freaking out, texting her constantly, trying to distract myself. And she just kept telling me, like, you're going to do great. And I think, like, for me, it's buying into, like, that belief that she holds in me, my parents hold in me, and my teammates hold in me, to have it in myself almost. Like, to trust that I've put in a lot of hard work. I've had great workouts. I've been there. I deserve to be here. Fixing that side of me. Because I do think, like, physically, I do everything my body will let me do. Steve and Sarah in the training office know that I almost kill myself every day going down there limping, like, fix me, please. But mentally, it's believing that it's all worth it, and I've done everything I can do to be the best version of myself I can be. So that'll probably be the big goal for the season.
Yeah, and that's a unique purpose to buy into, the belief that people do believe in you. And I've ran with you before, like you have that dog in you, like you're there. I've seen you with the workouts, I've seen you on the runs. Like, I know that you have it in you, and to see you sort of evolve from freshman year to now, it's been, from an outside standpoint, or I guess being with you guys in XC, it's personally, it's been special to watch, man. You've got what it takes, man. I'm more than happy to see you evolve, man. Like, really, like, I know that, we talk and everything, but at the end of the day, from freshman year, like, you and Chris and Fish, you guys are all family brothers at the end of the day, and I'm so happy to see you evolve, man. And speaking of them, I want to ask you one more question. What is the relationship with your teammates? As the rain starts to, I don't know if they can hear it, but the rain is coming down.
I'm getting ready to think about my run now, but out in this rain. But Fish and Chris, we've been together for 3 years now, and it means a lot to, like, have them constantly be there supporting me. Knowing that you're going through it with somebody else, like, it's 90 degrees, you gotta get a run in at 6 a.m. Chris and Fish are there on the trail with me. It's a shame that Chris is injured right now, but even with him being injured, I raced at 9 p.m. Chris is out there on the track cheering me on still. Same with Fish. Like, I get that text from him as soon as I finish. One of the first people to text me is Fish saying, yo, congratulations, you deserve it. To see these guys that like I'm always putting in work with. And I think teammates in running, it kind of goes beyond just the Chestnut Hill family, because running is such a personal sport that everybody wants to improve themselves with. There's guys in the conference that are texting me that, you know, you would typically assume are like rivals or guys you wouldn't necessarily be rooting for, but like Joey Data from Caldwell, he shoots me a text, you know, love that guy, hate that guy, but you know, to see that text from him. Same with Alec Valet from GCU, seeing him cheer me on along the way. He's graduated since, but he's one of those, like, these are all guys that like you wouldn't picture yourself being friends with and close with, but you're always with each other. And like I said, it goes back to my high school teammate Trey and my other buddy Owen, Owen Nath. It's amazing to have so many guys surround yourself and buy into it, and it makes you better. And like having that not only here at Chestnut Hill with Chris and Fish, but away with guys like Alec, Owen, Trey, that you're just constantly grueling it out with. It's special, and it's not something that a lot of sports have. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you get to have that sense where a game does acknowledge game, like you, like Joey Dad and all them. And I've seen you two run. You guys are great, and I've been there. And just to see, you know, someone who's great at the sport on an opposing team show you like, hey, like you're doing it right. You know, you're doing the steps accordingly, and you're getting there. And for that, you're right. I think it is worth everything to have the opponent itself, even your teammates, show you love, show you credit. When some days you're feeling confident in yourself, some days not. That's just how sports goes. And you know, I agree. I think that is it's unique in its own way, running at that, and the mentality and the capacity you have to have. I think it is special. You know what I mean? But with that, this concludes the Grist Pod for this week. Cole Stankina, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Matt Velez. Take care, everyone.